The Astoltia Origin Story. This is the topic I made the Astoltian Archive series specifically to talk about. I just didn't think we'd get here so quickly. So, how was the world of Astoltia created? And why does that even matter so much? Well, it matters because its creation puts not only its own fate at risk, but another, older world that you may be familiar with was nearly destroyed shortly before its creation. But with that narrative hook, let's get into it. This is the story of the ancient collapse and the birth of Astoltia. Once, there existed a mighty god, a great architect. Through his powers of creation, he molded a world. It was vast and beautiful. Known now as the Eternal Cradle, it was host to many legends and tales of heroics. But long after these tales, we find the one we speak of today. This architect and his two daughters faced an invading force hell-bent on consuming that very power of creation and all it touched. A force called the DQX Telecrystals, a hive mind of crystal-like beings who cannot generate their own power of creation and must consume it from other worlds. While details of this fight are scarce throughout history, the great architect, fearing defeat, instructed the weaker of his daughters, Lutiana, to take as many humans and Celestrians with her as she could and flee this world, giving her as much of his power of creation as he could spare. So Lutiana ran. It was a long and perilous journey. All but one Celestrian died over its course, and to ensure the humans didn't also succumb to a similar fate, Lutiana gave the humans a divine fruit, transforming them into Celestrians with no halo. After an unknowable amount of time, she came across a space she deemed suitable to create a world. And with the power of creation she had been given, she did just that. She created a world of light that would come to be known as Astoltia. But creating a world is a large undertaking, even for a god, so she created the first of her children to help her. The first was Nadraga, who would later create a race in his image, the Nadravians. Then, the second god was Eldona, who would later become the goddess of the elves. During the early stages of Astoltia's creation, they had additional roles to help in shaping the world. But the race gods are a topic for another time. However, while everything seemed to be going smoothly, disaster would soon strike. A single telecrystal made its way to the new world. A being that would later come to be known as the god of destruction, Jaganuba. While Lutiana would be successful at sealing him for a time, not long after all 7 of her children were born and created races of their own, Jaganuba re-emerged with a dark miasma that corrupted all it touched. The Crown of Wisdom, a group of sages that directly served Lutiana at the time, advised her to cut off the land that was leaking this miasma and seal it away. And so she did. She cut the corrupted land from Astoltia, which resulted in the creation of a land of darkness. In retaliation, Jaganuba birthed 7 dark deities of his own and sent them to Astoltia. Lutiana's 7 children fought Jaganuba's 7 dark deities as she prepared a volley of arrows filled with divine energy to finish them. A blinding light of arrows rained down on her foes, but ultimately they survived, albeit not unscathed. All but 2 of the 7 deities fled. The 2 that remained were sealed away to prevent their miasma from spreading. With his children defeated, Jaganuba emerged himself to fight Lutiana, and the War of 2 Gods truly began. Mountains erupted with flames and oceans ran dry. The war raged for thousands of years. Knowing the world couldn't take any more, Lutiana prepared her last resort. She would seal Jaganuba away with the secret art of the mirror match. This technique would split her and Jaganuba into 2 bodies and 2 souls, sealing away all 4 pieces. Jaganuba's body was sealed within the mountains in the land of darkness. Lutiana's body would become a river of light, acting as a more powerful seal to separate the corrupted land from her beloved Astoltia. Their souls, however, were sealed in places at odds with their bodies to prevent either from reawakening. Lutiana's soul would reside within the dark mountain alongside Jaganuba's body, and Jaganuba's soul would sleep deep within the river of light, thus ending the War of the Gods. With Jaganuba sealed and Lutiana's presence within the river of light now seen all across Astoltia, the world began to heal and peace was restored. While Astoltia would face many more hardships and darknesses even after the sealing of Jaganuba, many of which can still be traced back to him. For now, this left the world in a state of peace, and that's where our story ends today. And with that ends this episode of the Astoltian Archive. Now, if it wasn't clear to all of those in the back of the class, I'll drop the theatrics for a moment. The Cradle, otherwise known as the World of Zanayath, is the world from Dragon Quest IX. I think it is really freaking cool that we finally have the how for the way these two games are connected. And I was really excited to make this video to try and put it into a bit more of a story time format. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video. But until next time, I hope that you have a fantastic time zone and stay excellent.